Welcome to the Walter Paisley Movie House, where we strive to be the best kind of terrible influence. Coming to you from Nilbog Manor Studios, our music is by Jonathan Harmon, and I am your host, Dylan Rory. We are brought to you in part by our partner sponsor, Can Cinema and Brassiere, a nonprofit cinema in the heart of Indianapolis. Be sure to check out their AV Club series, including a monthly cult movie hosted by yours truly. Today's show is a special episode in that I'm not only getting to talk to friends, but also help promote an upcoming event in Indianapolis. Our first guest is an artist, filmmaker, musician, collector of all things cool, and all-around self-made badass. His first low-budget feature, Demelvis, Daughter of Helvis, is a surreal rockabilly treat. The following year, he made the deeply personal Teenage Tupelo, which was the first original film released by Something Weird Video. When he isn't making movies, he's creating graphic novels and sculpting statues of famous figures. However, he will forever be in the Walter Paisley Movie House Hall of Fame because he is the person who discovered the cache of films in the back of the Lucian Theater in Memphis, Tennessee that contained a little flick we call Bat Pussy. He's the one and only John Michael McCarthy. Also joining us is the founder of one of the best little conventions in Indianapolis, Dead Formats, the premier VHS and media swap convention in the Midwest, if not all of North America. Taking place on Saturday, August 24th this year, Dead Formats is celebrating its 5th year. This year's convention features live wrestling, special guests like Aaron Brown, Hugh Gallagher, and Paul Woodard, and the guest of honor, Walter Paisley Movie House Hall of Famer, John Michael McCarthy. She's the only person who could get all that awesome into one place. That's right, it's Noelle Huffman.
Thank you. Thank you for that nice introduction. Very generous introduction.
Well, thank you both for joining me. How are we doing?
So far, so good.
Right on. Michael?
I haven't finished my beer yet, but
I get it.
beer o'clock. Oh, you gonna? What's going on?
It's a little nervous. Yeah. Who knows what Mike's going to do?
That's what I'm gonna do.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about not only Michael's vast resume, but also about Dead Formats. And I'll go ahead and let listeners know I'm going to do a more detailed, in-depth interview of my usual style with Michael after we're past Dead Formats. But today we're going to talk about some of the movies that are of his that are going to be showing there, and a little bit about those films without giving too much away, and Dead Formats itself, which Noelle created.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Like most things, it's complicated, but yeah.
But let's just go ahead and start with you, Michael. You have been living in Memphis, but you're originally from Tupelo, Mississippi. And when did you get to Memphis?
1984.
Okay. What point did you realize that you wanted to start making movies?
Well, I had thought I was going to be a comic book artist, and had tried playing in bands.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I kind of was always trying to reach some underground aesthetic or punk rock ideal in an avoidance of a career or anything like that. But then I found that Incredibly Strange research volume in 1986, Incredibly Strange Films that Research had put out with V. Vale and Boyd Rice.
I think so. Yeah. I think it was.
And that really blew me away because I had no knowledge of these films. And this was even, before you could find this stuff at VHS stores. And then, of course, when Something Weird kicked in, literally 4 years later, I just saw a pathway to becoming what many cartoonists wanted to be, which was a filmmaker.
How do you mean?
I think cartoonists are frustrated filmmakers. Not all of them, of course, but my styles were recapitulations of other artists' works that I was trying to come up with my own style. And once I had my style, I felt like I had accomplished what I needed to do, and then I wanted to figure out how to make films.
Okay. So your first film is, help me with the pronunciation because I'm just going to slaughter it.
Well, it's Damselvis.
Damselvis.
Damsel.
Damselvis.
Yeah, Damselvis, like Elvis.
Right.
And Evil Knievelvis. And now I can't even. Hold on a minute.
Some
There you
people
go.
really struggle with the Evil Knievel thing. Like if you put Evil Knievel's name in front of somebody under the age of 30, like they won't be able to figure it out. So I don't know if that's a good analogy, Mike. Like,
Evil Knievel.
it's like, I know your generation can spell it, but
just as a side note, Evil Knievel used to his walking cane actually was hollow and full of wild turkey. I just throw that out there.
Oh,
wow.
It's
Well, no, Evil Knievel.
remember that for the next podcast.
Yeah, right. Now this is the 30-year anniversary of Damselvis, Daughter of Helvis, and I want to thank Noelle because I don't think I put a lot of effort into thinking about the 30th anniversary of not only Damselvis, my first film, but also Gorilla Monster Films, my company.
Mhm.
This year, I just didn't. I don't know. I've been thinking about making money and just trying to stay afloat. So for Noelle to offer this opportunity for me to be the guest of honor at Dead Formats 5, I really appreciate it, and just thank you so much. And it's good that there's still people out there, a younger generation of people that these movies matter to. So it's great.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Every time I get to host a film and see someone under the age of 30 at it, and it's their first time watching the Bat Pussies, among others.
I think there were a lot of firsts
heartening.
there.
Oh, that one had a lot of firsts.
First and last. Hit it and quit it.
Yeah, I did walk a lot of
Arguably hitting.
But
it's an honor to have Mike for the 30th anniversary of Damselvis and Gorilla Monster Films. I mean, it was kind of serendipitous that we got to know each other last year, and Mike and I are just kind of similar people and that we have a lot of similar interests where it just really clicked. We became friends, and it made a lot of sense to, hey, this is kind of a monumental thing. And I will say it kind of coincides. I can't remember what year it was, but Saturn Score just did do this beautiful Blu-ray release where it's like, it's a great time. The movie is for sale somewhere. People are aware of it. Maybe they haven't watched it yet, but like, it's a really good opportunity to get it in front of people, and they can actually, take it home with them and,
yeah, absolutely.
And fill their lonely lives with, 80 minutes of garbage. But
I think it's less than 80, isn't it?
well, it's less than 80, right? 64 minutes. Like I'm less than 80. Yeah, beautiful garbage. I'll put it that way. But I've been going to Letterboxd.
Dude, this entire podcast is predicated on beautiful garbage. Don't undersell it.
That's my next. That might be my next band name. Anyway, if you go to letterboxd.com, there's lots of great reviews for Damselvis there. I don't know that these people know that it's possible to buy my stuff through Blu-ray or whatever, but my stuff is out on Blu-ray. Noelle's set me up with a situation where I can show Sore Losers in Bloomington and Teenage Tupelo at the Can, and then Damselvis will be shown at Dead Formats coming up here, in 2 weeks? So
1 week, less than
1
2
week.
weeks.
1 week.
Yeah,
Okay.
about a week and a half, so
August 22nd to the 25th.
Yeah.
24th.
24th. Yeah.
I'll be heading back on
25th will take you to breakfast.
Right?
Yes, yeah. At the least.
Oh my God.
Drop you off at the damn airport is what we'll do.
Mike likes beer and bacon, so that's good.
Perfect. We got that covered. That's a Midwest staple.
Right?
Yeah.
So after Damselvis, there, I got it.
Damselvis. One more time. Let's do it together. Damselvis. Damselvis. He shows up. The costume is hanging on my door over there. I do have the original Spring News costume in my apartment where I look over and I'm like, wow, what a life I live. But this beautiful thing is here. So she has appeared in a sense after saying her 3 times.
Wow.
But anyways, sorry to interrupt.
And that will be featured at Dead Formats 5.
Yes, that'll be the after party. And it's sponsored by Saturn Score, who did do this beautiful Blu-ray release. the after party is going to be, we're going to screen that, and then we're also going to do a Q&A, and also there's going to be a musical performance by Polycyclone, Paul Woodard, who's actually in the movie, in several of Mike's movies. But he performed at the original Damsel of Listen premiere in 1994 at Barristers. So it's kind of a big deal that we have the original musician performing at our party as we did the original party.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We're gonna bring
really cool.
We're gonna bring Paul out in a wheelchair. No, I'm kidding.
I love Paul. Also stars in Hugh Gallagher's movies too, who will also be there. Paul's a great guy, and he'll be at the screening of Teenage Tupelo as well.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Paul will be everywhere. He'll be ubiquitous, especially when it's time for bacon. I think Paul will be there. Paul was known as Woody Littell in Gore Whore. He gets his leg. Well, spoiler alert: he gets his legs cut off in Gore Whore. So maybe the panel discussion will drift toward that.
Yeah, that was one of Hugh Gallagher's films that Mike. You worked on it, right, Mike? Obviously, I can't remember. Which, I mixed the titles up.
I'm in it. I played doubles when people had to leave early. I produced it, provided costumes, all that.
Very cool.
Yeah. He and Hugh worked a lot together at that time, and Hugh also worked on Damsel of Listen. So it's really exciting that they'll all be there together, and we can hear more great stories.
Absolutely, yeah. There's nothing like the stories of people who've gone through that kind of hell, because making a movie is a lot of hard work.
And a dildo. I'll tell the dildo story on the panel, I guess.
Okay.
That's another thing this podcast is predicated on, dildo stories. That's I really got a lot of those.
Or in my case, don't.
Dildo and dildo.
The dildoos and dildos of John Michael McCarthy.
That would have been the making of art.
That's the name of your memoir.
It made me think about how many drawings I've done of Damsel of Listen over the years, and I've only actually done about 5 drawings of illustrations of the character, which Noelle, I guess will have on display, and I'm actually working on maybe a 6th one now.
This is the original flyer art that I somehow was able to get Mike McCarthy to do for me as the Dead Format 5 flyer, and this is a dream come true for me because, I mean, obviously Mike's an amazing filmmaker, but like, have you seen his comics? Have you seen his cartooning? Like, he's incredible. And it's his original character that he turned into a movie that he directed and made. I mean, so few people on earth can claim something like that. So to me, like, as a nerd that loves comics and movies and SOV movies, like, this is a dream come true. So I'm extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
Well,
that'll be on the t-shirts,
like, that's not
too,
the only
right?
art he did. What's that?
That'll be on the t-shirts also.
Yes, that's on the official t-shirt art. That's the only design I'm doing this year. We're focusing on Damsel of Listen. It's her year. I think like the 30th anniversary and Dead Format's 5th anniversary kind of coincides like perfectly. So
it's kismet.
That's the t-shirt.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and that's on, even like on Letterboxd, people haven't seen the old comic book that Fantagraphics put out in '94, or they haven't put the 2 and 2 together of Dylan, you asked me earlier why was I doing films or whatever after comics, or whatever your question was. I'm paraphrasing, but I thought that it would be interesting. I would read all these reviews in the Comics Journal about cartoonists and illustrators who did discuss film history. So I thought it would be cool to have the director be the cartoonist and make a film based on their own character. Like, when Rocketeer came out, but Dave Stevens didn't get to direct it, which to me would have been the absolute greatest thing to have seen. But there was the power structure was going to allow that to happen. But Damsel of Listen, of course, being so underground, it was easy for it to happen. And you'll see the results on.
It's fantastic.
And then on the 23rd, the evening of the 23rd, I'll be hosting, along with you, Teenage Tupelo at Can Cinema. And I describe Teenage Tupelo as, if you take away all the dialogue, it's basically every Cramps video that was ever made. It's just a beautiful imagery. When you put in everything and you get it all together, it's obviously a very deeply personal film to you. And it tells a story that I think you're probably still trying to tell. It's a very visually interesting film. There's some stunning framework that you've done throughout it. When you were building toward that, because you made that immediately on the heels of your first film, was that something you'd been toying with in your head for a while, that story?
Yeah. I was actually wanting to do another comic book movie, Cadavra, about a girl made from the pieces of dead movie stars that would star Delana. And I got David F. Friedman, the king of exploitation films.
Absolutely.
Through my Something Weird connections, he agreed to produce that. So I was ready to do that, but then I just, it's been a problem making Cadavra over the last 3 decades, or writing it, because it's almost like you might as well just write a fantasy, because you don't have, I don't have the money to do certain things. But Teenage Tupelo was doable because I realized that nudity would be my cheapest special effect.
Yeah. It definitely, there's a lot of that. Even though when it's gratuitous, it's very engaging. And not in an erotic way so much as it is just in a human way. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But
I would almost argue that it's not gratuitous. I think it's extremely tasteful, and I think that it's done in a way that's just like, it falls within the confines of exploitation cinema. And Mike, you've spoken like very eloquently about how, when you make a sexploitation movie, you allow yourself to kind of do something without boundaries, because it kind of falls in like this outsider underground world where you don't have to follow rules. You're outside of the Hollywood system. You're not using somebody else's money. So it kind of like allows you to stick to whatever creative vision you have. And at the same time, if you put, I think you said like sex and violence in it, all you're doing is broadening your audience. But, I think Teen Toop is done in an extremely tasteful way, obviously extremely beautiful and influenced by French New Wave and just like the best stuff. Looks incredible, shot on 8mm, but it's never gets to the point where it's like sleazy. And I think that's a huge accomplishment to do on such a small thing when there's nudity at all. So I don't know. I would that's definitely a compliment I want to give to you, Mike, is the tastefulness of it all.
There's, nudity. Well, the mainstream audiences who stream movies these days, or however they're getting their stuff to watch, I think they're hypnotized. Whereas you would think using nudity like in a very exploitive way in low budget films would be sort of hypnotic. And I suppose it is in a poetic way, or it can be. I think my films shatter the hypnosis that people are under, and they don't know how to take them. They don't know how to view them or observe them. And I'm glad that I did it that way 30 years ago, as if I had a choice. But Sore Losers is the same way. I don't think it's sleazy or anything like that. I mean, although the word trash gets used a lot, and that's
garbage.
Because I'm very humble, but I think my stuff will stand the test of time, because most normal people, even nerds, have a hard time understanding how you could actually intellectually control the message of what you're trying to do on as little as $12,000 or less. If you have the capacity to do that, then I think disappointment sets in later when you don't get to do more of it. Like, I wish I'd done more films, because I think I would have been capable of squeezing the most out of a budget.
You still got time.
Not since this troublesome cough.
Oh no.
No, I'm fine. So the doctor said I had 6 months to live, and I said, finally, in 6 months I'll be living.
Some McCarthy humor.
Yeah. I'm writing screenplays now, and I look forward to future Dead Formats guest of honor slots for them.
Awesome.
I want to know from Noelle, what started your interest in this sort of dead format, lost art form, like today, for instance. I think I mentioned to you when you and Mike were here in Memphis about Black Lodge Video, or I don't know if you went over there or not.
I don't think we did.
Well, Black Lodge is our video store here that has transcended. It became more of a venue, a music hall, a restaurant, whatever. But today it closed because
I think I've definitely heard of it before, but we didn't go.
Well, it closed today, and so ironic that we're talking today, or maybe coincidental, but I'm just saying it's harder and harder maybe to sell audiences, younger audiences, on dead formats. But I was quoted in the Commercial Appeal, the local paper today. I mentioned the term dead formats just in general by analogy, like, it's hard to sell people on dead formats. And if that's your business model, then you might be ultimately in trouble. So, and your trade show extols the virtues of that, right?
Yeah, and I think we're actually in a time where the alternate is true. I mean, so much you see these. I can't remember who put an article out about how people are returning to buying Blu-rays and DVDs just because streaming has made just stuff so virtually unavailable, where it's like, if you're in the mood to watch a movie, I mean, this happens all the time with me. It's like I'll go to try to find something on streaming, and it's like it was up and I knew it was up, and then it's taken down. And so much of what streaming is them trying to feed you whatever garbage they're trying to sell you that week, or whatever contract they just dumped a bunch of money into getting their rights to. So I think that people are kind of wisening up to, it's not all great having stuff on streaming and not having physical media, because it comes and goes. I mean, as far as me personally collecting physical media, I don't think I ever had a choice. I mean, if you love movies, if you love music, if you want those movies or those music, you're going to buy it on whatever format you run into it. And, I'm younger, but I'm not too young where I wasn't buying CDs. I mean, I started collecting records first, but, obviously I always bought DVDs. But at some point, the deeper you get into stuff, it's like you're going to have to, I mean, I should clarify. I grew up with VHS, in high school was when I started kind of picking stuff up on VHS again that was kind of more obscure, or stuff that I know I couldn't find elsewhere. Like always watched stuff and rented stuff on VHS if that was the only option. But like, at some point you start to get into the releases and how you organize your collection and stuff like that. But I just don't think it was ever really a choice. It's just kind of a way of living. And as a collector, I'm sure there are elements of that you can relate to.
Well, what is the VHS lifestyle exactly?
Just like depression and just like things falling on you and like stepping over piles, and
so if I asked
not
your
letting
mother,
your mom into your apartment, like this.
I asked your mother, like, how's Noelle doing? Well, she's got that VHS lifestyle.
No, I'm sure there are other people that can give you a much better answer. I have no idea.
It's a topic that comes up a lot on this show, where we talk about not only the streaming inconsistent with what it's got out there, but it's also altering media. It will change endings of films if they don't like it. It will cut things out if they feel it's not appropriate for whatever streaming service it is. It's been happening pretty much since the beginning of it, where you want to watch a movie as it was intended so you can get that physical media. There's a reason I have to get more bookshelves, because I buy a lot of physical media. Also, I'm going to be able to barter with that in the apocalypse, because people aren't going to be able to get their porn on the internet anymore. Come see me. I will.
Shit, we came close in the state of Indiana. I mean, these laws are passing,
Absolutely.
It's who knows?
Yeah.
And for better or worse, some of them, who knows?
I'm going to turn my backyard into a peep show.
Well,
that'll work.
I don't think people are going to be having sex after the apocalypse.
I don't think they're having sex now. That's why your Blu-rays don't sell so well, Mike.
They
don't know what
will.
any of it means.
They will after Dead Formats 5. They will be.
Fortunately, Teenage Tupelo is a pretty good educational film at some point of, the birth of a bee.
Oh, dude, let's not spoil that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the crowd reaction for that part.
Me too.
Well, it is the birth of the director after all. So
Yeah.
That is true. No spoilers.
All right, I'll be quiet.
So that it is. Getting back to Teenage Tupelo just for a minute, aside from the beautiful visuals, aside from the incredible soundtrack by the Impala,
Yes,
you've got Hugh Brooks in there, who is a cult film legend, and you've done a lot of work with him. Can you just tell us a little about Hugh? Well,
you really negated the entire effect of the beer I just drank by bringing Hugh Brooks. Now I'm completely sober. Hugh just lives maybe, I don't know, a couple of miles away, if you call that living. But he called me on August 5th in 2022, I guess it was, and I didn't answer the phone for the longest time. And then I answered it. I'm like, who is this? And he's like, it's Hugh Brooks. And I'm like, I thought you were dead, or I hoped you were dead. And so, but we had a nice conversation and had some laughs and stuff. And I think about him and I worry about him sometimes as well. I mean, but he's doing okay, I guess. He's still around. Oh, I'm sorry. What was your question?
I was just wondering. I mean, he's worked on several films with you, and just, I guess, kind of what's the guy like on a set?
I guess my question is, Mike, also, was he a mail center guy too? Is he somebody you met working at the mail center? Okay,
yes,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. I found I worked in a mail center place for the longest time, and I ran into the girlfriend I have now. I met her there when she was like, God, in her 20s or something, because everybody would come into the mail center to do mail business, or they'd have a mailbox.
Apparently everyone in his movies, everyone Mike knows.
Not only Hugh Brooks, but Neil Shapiro, the mailman, and then later on with the Sore Losers, I found funding for the Sore Losers through customers at the mail center, and that was kind of funny, tricky, and actors, more actors in the Sore Losers. But no, Hugh would come in. He worked at the Piggly Wiggly supermarket just down Madison, which was next to the old Antenna Club, and he would have his red shirt on with a little pig right there on it, and then eventually we would laugh it up, and then he and my friend George and I would go see, like, I remember we went to see Jeff Altman do stand-up.
Yeah, wow. Oh, Pink Lady and Jeff. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, Pink Lady wasn't there.
No, that's sad.
Later. And then in the Sore Losers, Mick Collins, the godfather of Garage, who was in the Gories, was supposed to play this role in the Sore Losers. He hit his head on a car door, had a concussion. I asked Hugh Brooks, hey, would you do this? And so then Hugh Brooks became Toothpick in the Sore Losers. And then at this point, I knew I could depend on Hugh to be a caveman in Super Starlight AD. So then that happened. So yeah, all those films. He's not in Damselist, but.
Did he have any Doris Wishman stories?
Everybody says he looks like the guy on Nude on the Moon.
Yeah, he's even credited in it.
Oh, it's the same name of the actor.
It shows up on his IMDb.
Huh. I don't get that.
He does look like him. I just thought it was him.
I can't. That's one of the Wishman films I'm not super familiar with as much as.
It's the best.
I mean,
hands down.
She should have done a sequel to Bad Girls Go to Hell called Bad Girls Go to the Moon. And then I would know about it.
Well, the mystery will never be solved because he does look like him, and I saw it in his IMDb credits, and I was like, "Well, I'll be damned, it's him."
I hadn't noticed that on his IMDb, or I guess maybe I hadn't looked deeply enough.
IMDb is sketchy at best a lot of the time, so I always take it with a grain of salt. But he looks so much like him, I just assumed that it was right in this one time. So,
well, I don't know about IMDb. I think my producer John Cry fixed up my page. I paid no attention to any of that I haven't done a lot of stuff like that in self-promotion. I just like kind of leave it to go. I don't mess with it too much, which might explain my current situation. But anyway, go ahead, Noelle.
Oh no, I was gonna say, Hugh Brooks' performance as Johnny Two Note is legendary, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like unforgettable, and I can't wait to see the audience's reaction to that.
Yeah.
Especially, at that fateful moment, where history is made in the train car. I can't wait to experience that with an audience in Indianapolis.
What are you girls doing after you beat the shit out of me? Well, there is a single, or I should say an EP, a 4-song EP that Sympathy for the Record Industry put out in '95. That's Hugh Brooks singing with Impala playing behind him, Johnny Two Note and the Scopatones. So there's a collectible for you.
Very cool.
I have one of those.
Do you know what the print run was of that, or what the press was?
300 maybe.
How many they made?
Wow.
Wow.
Get your hands on one.
It's a heater.
Wow.
I cannot bequeath you one. I only have one.
Okay.
I went by John Stivers, the lead guitar player for Impala. He had a yard sale one time, and I went by there, and he was selling all of his copies of Johnny Two Note and the Scopatones, and I'm like, "What are you doing? What is it?
You only got one?"
I should have bought them. Yeah, but I didn't. I don't know why.
You're such an archivist, Mike.
I was
come
offended.
on.
I was offended, and I walked away.
Oh, I could see that. I could understand that.
I love John.
For our listeners, as Noelle refers to Mike as an archivist, his house is unlike any I've seen. It's just a museum, a library, just beautiful, beautiful treasures in every corner of it.
Well, thank you. And I apologize for you getting your toe in the rat trap.
That's all right. I'm used to that.
At least there wasn't a rat in it. Like
they're reusable. Do we want to talk about the dates of when the films are showing leading up to Dead Formats?
I guess. I don't know. Noelle, this is your thing.
Okay, I guess I'll take over. So
I threw
Thursday...
Noelle under the bus a couple months ago at a movie. I was like, Noelle, come out and talk about it. And she hid more quickly than I've seen anyone. Like ducked around a corner.
I know. I feel bad, but whatever, man. You put me on the spot.
No. I was the one throwing you under the bus there.
It's okay. I think you may expect people to be as good at that kind of stuff as you are, because you're excellent at that kind of thing. So I'm so happy about this partnership, because you're great at being like, "Hey, everybody, we're showing a movie. You're gonna love it." And I'm like the worst at that. But I'll try it right now. So on Thursday, the 22nd, down in Bloomington at the Back Door, we're partnering with Cicada Cinema, who's an amazing pop-up cinema company down there. We collaborated them on last year's Dead Formats. We're going to be showing The Sore Losers, and that's at 8 o'clock at the Back Door down in Bloomington. And then Friday, obviously, we're at Can for Teenage Tupelo. That starts at 8:30, and then we've got the Q&A afterwards. And Mike's going to be introducing and doing Q&A after all these screenings, all these appearances. And he's also going to have all his stuff set up where he's going to be doing the book signing for the beautiful, for this... beautiful new Fantagraphic book. I don't have a Fantagraphics book. I don't have the jacket on, but this is what it looks like without the jacket. But he's going to have all that stuff for sale at every screening. So Friday the 23rd at Can, Teenage Tupelo at 8:30, and then Dead Formats. He's going to be at the convention all day on 8/24, signing stuff, talking to people, telling stories, and then the after party at 8 p.m. We're going to be screening Damselvis and doing the 30th anniversary bash, we're going to have cast and director Q&A. Polycyclone's going to perform, which is that's who performed at the original Damselvis premiere. So it's going to be a whole lot of Mike McCarthy for 3 days.
I just can't believe that there's somebody who's so like Noelle's, and Mike Hunchback as well. Mike Diana are going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And Hugh Gallagher, Hugh and I, made, Hugh filmed Damselvis, Daughter of Helvis, for me on the same camera equipment that he used for Gore Horror and Goreautica and maybe Goregasm. I'm not sure, the Gore trilogy. So we had that bond, that friendship then. And I think Hugh and I will actually mud wrestle in pudding, right? During Dead Formats 5.
I don't know. I
I'm
have read some
refereeing
interviews
that.
about your guys' relationship. I'm not sure if it might devolve into that. I haven't gotten the
I was
tea.
told I'd be refereeing that one. So
I was
Well,
told
it's not a paid job, so
I was told that straight
I don't
from
need it.
the pudding mud wrestling, we go straight to the panel. There's no time to clean up or anything.
Nope, just us in our Speedos covered in pudding. It'll be great.
Yeah.
what flavor?
Tapioca.
Oh,
Ooh.
Worst.
it's textured.
Which tapioca is a dead formats.
Oh, no, I love tapioca.
I don't know what I'm saying, but no, yeah, keep me busy and give me an IPA and some bacon, and I'll do anything you want, basically.
He's not
Perfect.
lying. I've done screenings with him before in other cities. That's pretty much what he needs. Feed him and get him an IPA, and he'll.
This is the
he'll
thing.
dance.
You're looking at me covered in tapioca at the panel, and you're like, how could he have done the Godard influenced Teenage Tupelo? Like, well, whatever.
The most beautiful movies of the 1990s. Yeah.
And you're like, well, the French did host the Olympics this year, and you're like, okay, I get it.
It's one of the new events that they chose. I don't know. It's just
yeah. If they can have breakdancing at the Olympics, they can have exploitation filmmaking at the Olympics, I think. Right?
Finally.
Maybe.
I think it deserves that much credit. Yeah, credit is a physically difficult thing. Yes.
So I'm writing.
Don't talk shit about breakdancing, like breaking. Yeah, we're not doing that.
I forgot you were a breakdancer before you got into VHS stuff.
Weren't you a background dancer in Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, Noelle?
No,
you and Amelia
but I made it to the second callback. Second callback.
Second callback. I got to say, anyone who's listening to this, look up Super Thrift. My son, my 20-year-old son, is now making a sequel to his first short film, Super Thrift, and he loves dead formats. He loves VHS, mini DV. I mean, even mini DV and the digital stuff I would say, is considered dead formats now.
Way dead, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really made me realize, like, you're talking about a younger generation and stuff. I mean, my son and I have different taste in music and whatever, but I mean, we really bond over what he's gotten into, low budget filmmaking. And I think that is very much, I'm not going to say it's an American thing, but it's very cool to see my son doing that. I hope other kids in America are doing that kind of garage, if not garage rock, garage filmmaking.
It's absolutely happening. I mean, in Indianapolis alone, I don't think a weekend goes by where I don't see somebody looking for people to be an extra in something, or who wants to be a zombie. I'm doing a short shoot this weekend. It's happening all over, and it's great.
Maybe
it's like things oscillate, right? Like they go back and forth. Like as far as people get sick of shit. They get sick of the way things are, and like they're always going to react to that. So I mean, I have faith that that's going to happen with young people if it hasn't already. In the future, like nature recalibrates itself.
Well, so if technology was supposed to make it so easy for people to make more films, like with your phone and so forth, did that really happen? In a big way, like in a mainstream way, or as soon as somebody makes a small independent film that has some political bent or zeitgeist formula, as of right now anyway, they get sucked right into corporate filmmaking, which, I wouldn't complain if somebody said, oh, and now you're making a $20 million movie. I would probably sign up for it immediately, but there goes any individuality that, or message that you might have had, or maybe you didn't have one.
I think maybe the last person who was able to pull that off was James Gunn. And I think now the business has changed so much that it's just not going to happen again. Movie studios are a dying breed, which the big ones, I'm all for it. Let them go away. They're if it's not a remake or a property that's proven, like a superhero comic book or whatever, they're not going to make it.
Even those are dying, right? Like even
Yeah,
people don't even enjoy those anymore.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how it pivots. I mean, obviously you see things like A24 where like they're dumping a bunch of movies, a bunch of money into these guys that have made like one or two movies, and like, yeah, sure they were promising, but like there's a lot of garbage that's come out of that.
Oh my gosh,
But I think
yes.
it's one of those things when there's so much money involved and people that have so much money, it's just like they don't fucking know what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
it's like what it's when bands like Nirvana hit it big, it's like they just throw money at every kind of band that's like that, and you get things. My boyfriend had this conversation with the other day, but like you get things like Puddle of Mud as a result of that. Like it's like so much money is made from one thing where they don't get it, they don't see it, they don't understand it, but they've got the money, so unfortunately we're gonna have to sit through a lot of fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Like
Breed.
but there are some great things that come out too. I keep the faith.
Yeah, I do too, but I think you're right. It's just that they have somebody who's a TikToker and say, "Hey, you can make movies," and throw money at them, and
or worse, Ari Aster. Like, yes,
yeah,
like what?
yeah,
Ty West, West, like whatever. I'm a hater. It's like, give Mike McCarthy the money.
Speaking of Ty West, I mean, I would love to have half the money that he used for Maxine. I mean, I don't know what that cost, but I almost saw Maxine. I mean, it was what was weird about or great about Maxine was that the fact that I was in a movie theater watching something that was obviously supposed to be more low rent, but it almost seemed like the actual genre or format that he was using was supposed to make it a cheaper form of storytelling instead of just throwing everything against the wall, and trying to make the best thing he could make. It seemed like he was more of a slave to the genre of that 80s VHS type stuff.
That's kind of his shtick.
It's really hot right now.
That's his shtick, is to hit a specific genre. I mean, X was obviously 70s exploitation. Yeah. The House of the Devil was straight up 80s straight to video horror. I haven't watched Maxine yet. It looks like Angel to me.
Yeah,
which is possibly one of the greatest movies ever made. But it looked a lot like that. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet, though.
Yeah, I'm writing screenplays now. I'm on my fourth screenplay that will probably never be made, or even I won't have time to draw it as a graphic novel. But I'm trying to make character count. I'm trying to make you care about the characters so that no matter what the budget or the format or whatever, there's some, staying power or shelf life to the thing. So I'm working on a screenplay right now called Don't Eat the Popcorn. And it's taken me years just thinking about it without forcing anything to try to commit it to paper, and even though I have no dream of ever getting the money to do anything again. Honestly, I'd love to, but I don't know how that's possible. I mean, and even going to dead formats 5, you're celebrating the fact that you don't need money, or that you do things anyway because of your willpower and your connections and whatever. So I see dead formats as a celebration of complete individuality and uniqueness, where you've got this group of people assembled who do appreciate that stuff. But it's not impossible to take $1 million and do something equally rewarding with it if you could be given that opportunity.
Yeah, it's perfectly possible to scale up, like
sure.
The same thing. Scaling. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was going to say, we do have some incredible filmmakers that are going to be at dead formats, younger people who are doing, precisely what you did, where it's like you make a movie with what you can, with the people with the resources you have. And Mike is obviously a master at that. Like, and I look forward to hopefully his Q&A being a bit of a seminar in that. Obviously, you know, his book goes into a lot of his book, Teenage Tupelo, put out by Fantagraphics, goes into, you know, the philosophy of underground filmmaking. You know, just like shoot now and ask for forgiveness later, or whatever you say. But it's like, you know, there are people still doing that, and your son is one of them, you know, and that's something that is very hopeful and inspiring about the future when there's really not much else. I could feel that way about.
And I think it is. I was stunned after watching Teen Toop that you'd only done one film prior to it. Everything about it felt so well planned. So every insert shot, I just kept talking to my wife as we were watching about so many insert shots you did that had nothing to do with the narrative at all. They were just beautiful little inserts. The scene where she's walking through the graveyard and her bag, you do a close up of her bag knocking some of the flowers off of a tombstone. It's
That's one of the best parts. It's incredible.
Beautiful detail. It's an absolutely beautiful detail. And as I started thinking about it, I'm like, you comic books, you basically storyboarded and you know, you'd done all that prior. So when you went into filmmaking, you were thinking like a filmmaker.
Yeah, composition. And, you know, and I've tried to tell my son, and he does do storyboards, because if you think something's going to take you an hour, it will take you 3 hours. And if you have storyboards and people show up on time and everybody does what they've agreed to do 3 months earlier, then it gives you more time to be creative and, you know, get shots like that.
Yeah.
Because you want to start wide and work in. And that flower by the tombstone that she brushes by is Elvis's brother Jesse Guerin's grave. So then there's context there as well. So I load my movies with a lot of context so that journalists and film critics or people on Letterboxd or you guys can have something to sink your teeth into instead of just some stupid thing that has no reference to anything, or it's just an excuse to have women take their clothes off or some slasher film or whatever. And I guess those things have their place. I never really saw my need to recreate anything like that, though. I wanted to do something more regional and personal, and I, you know, thought I would ride the coattails of the iconography like Elvis Presley.
It definitely, there's so much about it that is just plain beautiful to look at. That for a while, as I was watching it, even in the dream sequences, when it would go to color and then come back to black and white, the entire thing had dreamlike quality to it. It was linear without being linear, much like a dream.
Yeah.
So and it was just stunning visuals throughout.
Well, thank you. And I kind of thought by the 90s or by the end of the 20th century, people wouldn't be so hung up on plot. They would want, and then after MTV and all that, they'd want more of a dream state. I guess I was wrong, because Hollywood still had to do what it has to do, and the 3-act thing still has to do what it has to do. And I have to say, I've become a better writer and a better storyteller. But again, if you can find a group of people to do what you want them to do and be outrageous, then you can be Andy Warhol's Factory, or you can be, you know, Alice Cooper Band, or you can be, you know, you can be anything in that regard. I think Kubrick only used 4 or 5 people to shoot A Clockwork Orange. You know, you can do just about anything artistically along those comic books, rock and roll movies principle with something the size of the Alice Cooper Band, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've worked on a few low budget films, and the ones where it's a small group who are all on the same page are the most fun. Even when you hit that 18-hour mark in a day and you're tired and you hate everything, you still love the people you're with because they're there with you, toughing it out.
That's true. I saw a note in my sketchbook or I don't know where I saw this. I was looking up Damsel with stuff to bring to Dead Format so that we can have a display of original art and so forth for Damsel because I did draw other things in the Fantagraphics comics and all that stuff. But my friend Charles Berlin, who is a illustrator, comic book artist in his own right, he had made a note, we're losing darkness, which, usually you say we're losing light. We've got to hurry up and film. But in this case, we were losing darkness because we'd already been up and all night. And now the sun was coming.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we got to finish this night scene before the sun comes up. Come on, man.
We're going to have to do it again tomorrow. We're going to come back tomorrow night.
And I remember one night on the Sore Losers where we were filming during the day and then the sun went down and we were filming that night and then the sun came up and we were still filming the next day. I remember doing that. And that's the kind of thing maybe you could do when you're 30 and using people that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
Because usually people wise up after that and then they just won't do it, even though they can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can get them to do it once, but you can't get them to do it twice. Like if you're lucky, you can get them to do it once.
My good friend Emmy Collins and Wheat Buckley, of course, I couldn't have done anything without those guys. But Emmy Collins said of the Sore Losers, we're shooting for 47 days straight, and then people were like, straight? Like there's no breaks? And they're like, well, we got to knock this thing out. And Emmy was like, yeah, you'll get the rest of your life off, but for 47 days. Straight, then the rest of your life. And as it turned out, he was correct. These people have been off ever since. I don't think anyone's pursued anything. No, I'm kidding.
So you broke them. You broke your toys, Mike. You can't play too hard with them.
And that's why Polycyclone is arriving in a wheelchair.
I thought it's because his legs got cut off and Gore.
That's why. But he still has his faculties and he can still play the guitar.
Perfect.
Thank goodness he still has these limbs,
I got to say, Paul Woodard, if you read the Teenage Tupelo book, he wrote an essay, 4-page essay. Again, a great Americana songwriter who's never had big aspirations to be famous or anything like that. He's just content to do what he does. He copyrights his material. He's probably put out, 5, 6, 7 albums worth of material, maybe more. And he's just a fantastic guy and always the same, and just a great songwriter and a great singer. And so you'll see that at Dead Formats.
You'll see all these. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Paul Woodard will probably be everyone's favorite person that they meet that weekend. He's just an amazing guy and so great, so entertaining. I'm very honored that he's coming for that. So
yeah.
So let's get all the times and dates and guests again real quick, Noelle.
Okay, so Thursday, the 22nd in Bloomington at Backdoor, we're screening The Sore Losers. Mike will be there.
What time will that be?
8 p.m. at the Backdoor in Bloomington.
Okay.
On Friday is Teenage Tupelo at Can, and that's at 8:30, and that's going to have the introduction and Q&A. And then Saturday, August 24th, this is the one I should know. Saturday, August 24th, Dead Formats VHS Convention Vintage Media Swap Meet. That starts at 11 a.m. and goes till 6 p.m. There's an after party. We have a pre-show at 7. We're showing some, screening some shorts. But then at 8 p.m. is the Damselvis 30th Bash, and that's sponsored by Saturn's Core. That's when we're going to be screening Damselvis. That's when we're going to be doing the Q&A with Mike and cast, and then also the Polycyclone musical performance.
Oh, perfect. Noelle, can you talk about the VHS real quick? The special VHS edition?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I can do like a little teaser too. So I partnered with Saturn's Core to do a convention exclusive VHS release of Damselvis. It's for the 30th anniversary, limited to 30 pieces. They're going to be signed and numbered by Mike McCarthy. And Mike, do you actually want to talk about the original artwork that you did for this?
Yeah.
So I guess the concept we went for is Mike used to do incredible original artwork for Something Weird Video back in the day.
Yes, he did.
So it was to kind of recreate the original artwork that he did for that. So
Somewhere
Mike, if
in
you
here,
want
I
to talk
have a
about the
catalog.
actual...
I have a catalog he did the cover for, actually.
Oh shit!
Somewhere
I'd love
over
to
here
see
on my
that.
shelf.
Find it. Bring it to dead format.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you want me to comment on this cover?
Yeah, just, I mean, it's he just did a beautiful, all the cast, all the characters.
Well, it's just like the shirt I'm wearing of Savant Berry's Rock and Roll, if you can see that. I guess there's sort of a Sergeant Pepper's mentality to, you bring out everybody that was a major influence. And I took these images from Famous Monsters, Captain Company ads, and gave them bodies. And of course, they're surrounded by Memphis horror host Savad, who was on television here in Memphis from 62 to 72. But all that said, same effect with a lot of the Something Weird video covers that I did back in the 90s. I think I did maybe a dozen covers, and Rainey would pay me in movies. So that's how I amassed about over 100 Something Weird video movies at the time, which, to have that much esoteric knowledge, rifling through a VCR, you don't get that in film school. But anyway, you don't get anything in film school. You don't get anything in art school either. But I consider my bachelor's degree to be my first rejection letter. But to your point, hold up the cover again. So maybe that's like the fifth drawing I've ever done of Damselvis, and I think I was channeling my gorgeous girlfriend Lisa Marie Jones in that. But I also included on the far left Getty Chasen, who's one of the scene stealers, show stealers, I guess, in the movie. The way Damselvis looks, I guess, owes more to my comic book lizard reptile brain than it does actually Sherry Lynn Garris as far as facial likeness goes, because I'm still trying to throw in the graphic novel effect and any chance I have. But then you have Elvicious, Black Damselvis, Helvis, the Wolfman, the screen's first Rastafarian werewolf, Hippie Mike, my friend Hippie Mike as Psychid Elvis, and the pyramid in the back there for a sense of place, and the shack in the back to show rural Northeast Mississippi. I don't know who else is in there, but actually, Bob, did you cut Bob Gann out of the left side? Because Evil Knievelvis was in there. Is he there?
No, he's in there. He's right there.
Okay, and he's the Clint. He's the Clint Howard look. Oh, there's Kristen. Okay, saw her today.
Oh, yeah, and then obviously, yeah, Kristen.
Oh, I see. So the back cover's got more reveal.
It's a rabbit. I'm sorry, I should have shown Mike this before.
This is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. Surprise! There you go, Mike. No, it's a wraparound. So it's some of the front is repeated on the back, but then it's there's, in order to fit it.
I see.
On the proportions, it's a wraparound.
So I got to ask you, were my dimensions off?
Yes.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that could have happened, because I use a percentage wheel from the 80s. But anyway, let me see it again. Let me see the cover again. So then you got on the far right to screen that people would be looking. Oh, how many people are watching this, by the way? Have we?
I don't think we're.
I don't know. I just want to thank you guys for giving me a bunch of shit I'm going to have to edit out so this will make sense.
Oh, no.
He was like, "Oh, this turnaround time is going to be real tight." So Mike and I are gonna.
I think we've been real tight. I've only had one beer.
Anyways, an incredible. You're gonna have to get it at the show, because it's only going to be available at the show. Saturn's Core has been incredibly generous in letting me do this convention exclusive of 30 tapes. It's going to be great. Signed and numbered by Mike McCarthy.
And Shay, your friend Shay Mosfet,
yes,
did the
Black Video as well. She manufactured the tapes for us, so it's a triple way release.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really want to thank Saturn's Core for getting behind that and being a sponsor for the show. And
yeah, huge thanks to Ross.
Yeah, they put out the official Blu-ray of Damselvis, Daughter of Helvis, and I'll be there with my Blu-rays of The Sore Losers and Teenage Tupelo, which are loaded with 10 hours each of entertainment, in quotes. So yeah, I'll be there signing.
They're stacked, incredibly stacked releases.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys so much. this has been a lot of fun. I'm looking so forward to hanging out with you at Dead Formats coming up next week. I'll leave you with this, Michael. Everyone has been asking what my favorite part of the honeymoon was, and 201, I've said, when Mike McCarthy took us to the theater where he found Bat Pussy, I felt like I was going to Mecca. It really...
He said that. He said that at the screening the other day.
It's more like it's
much
more
to
like,
my wife's chagrin. That was my favorite part of the honeymoon.
She loves it too. We know
like,
she loves it. She might like it more than you.
I don't know about Mecca, more like Schmecca, maybe.
Well, fortunately, at the Walter Paisley movie house, that's like the thing, is the schmeck.
That's really what I go for.
And the schmucks.
All right, kids. I think we're good. I will see you in about a week.
Yeah.
My goal will be to get this out on the podcast page and on my YouTube channel tomorrow evening. So okay. I'm planning on lunch tomorrow doing some editing on it. So I'm hoping I can knock it out.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Yeah. Thanks, Mike, too.
There it is. Mike McCarthy will be joining us in Indianapolis with the Dead Formats 5 convention, August 22nd in Bloomington, August 23rd at Can in Indianapolis with Team Tupelo, and then the actual convention, August 24th, that's a Saturday in Indianapolis. You can find Dead Formats on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Get on there to check out the event details and get your tickets, and we will see you there. Get out and enjoy the world, but tip your servers well, because it's the Walter Paisley Movie House and we do not piss on hospitality. See you soon.